Do you want to know how to be a better parent without yelling? I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, how to build strong family bonds, child development, and education, all through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we're going to be talking about becoming a better parent. In this video, we're going to talk about yelling, why people do yell, and things that you can do, strategies and skills that you can practice so that you don't have to resort to yelling. Whether you've done it before or maybe your parents raised you with yelling and you're worried about doing it now, you don't need to. There's something better and it's more effective too. Did you know that yelling undermines your authority and your connection with your child over time? It does. Every time a person yells at you, there is this little part that remembers that and also says, I think I need to take a step back. I'm not sure I can trust that person because of how they are behaving. So the trust decreases every time you yell. And the connection with the child decreases too, because that bond is held together through their implicit trust of you. Now, when children are little, they forgive and forgive and forgive. They don't understand self-regulation. They don't have much of it themselves. And so they put up with a lot of misbehavior from their parents. But as they get older and more mature, they for sure start to see that yelling is just immature. It's just out of control. I remember having arguments with my mom. I remember my mom yelling at me. She was emotional. She had a lot of things going on chemically and everything else, but I just remember her yelling at me and me thinking, what? She thinks that I'm going to respond to that somehow I'm going to draw closer to her and care about what she's saying and what she wants me to do because she treats me like that? See, once children get older in their teen years, they actually expect to have a relationship with their parents. And if the relationship seems like it's all about emotional things that the parents want or parents trying to control everything all the time, then the person pulls away. That doesn't mean we can't establish good roles. We can. In fact, we need to. We shouldn't have our children walking all over us. We need to maintain parental authority for everyone to feel like they're in a functional environment and they learn the skills that they need and all those kinds of things. However, we shouldn't be controlling, angry, or yelling. Yelling is basically a sign that you don't have the skills that you need, and it's a sign that you might have a chemical addiction in your head where you are addicted to that endorphin rush that happens when you yell, or maybe you just have a habit of stress or something like that. But don't take it out on other people. It's going to come back to bite you. So what do we do instead? Let's talk about that. So this channel is the self-government channel, teaching self-government. That means everything here that I talk about is all about teaching self-government to ourselves and to our children. So what are some of the self-government strategies that we can use as parents so that we don't have to yell? Well, one of the biggest things that we can do is pre-teach our children ahead of time what we are going to expect of them. So let's teach them the skills that they need for success. I have written 15 books. Here are 5 of them here. These ones are really popular ones. This is probably my main book, Parenting a House United. If you haven't read that, it's life-changing, but this will give you the skills that you need and help you train your children in these skills that are taught in these 4 children's books. So these children's books each teach one of the 4 basic skills to children, which are following instructions, accepting no answers and criticism, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately. Each one of these skills has a skill set attached to it, which means that there are steps. For instance, to accept a no answer, you look at the person or situation, you keep a calm face, voice, and body, you say okay or ask to disagree appropriately, and then you drop the subject. You don't keep thinking about it. You just move on with your day. You choose to be emotionally strong. When you teach your children These 4 basic skills, that takes care of 99% of their behavioral problems. But sometimes they're still going to mess up. Sometimes they're still going to do something that you don't appreciate or might even be annoying. Well, instead of falling into the trap of yelling, use the skills that are in this book, Parenting a House United, to be able to calmly correct your children, help them learn cause and effect and self-government as they take ownership over their own behaviors, as they accept consequences and learn to self-analyze and self-direct themselves. That's what it really means to be self-governing. So first we pre-teach the skills. We pre-teach the 4 basic skills that they're going to need for success. We pre-teach some skills for self-regulation. That's in another set of children's books that I have, my Power of Calm book. And then we also teach the skills that we are going to use in order to correct the problem if it occurs. So now everything's laid out in the open. There's no question of how we're going to handle a circumstance. If somebody maybe rolls their eyes or starts to yell or talk back to their parent, now the parent just engages in doing a correction. And they do it with calmness because they already know the words that they're going to say. The child knows the words that they're going to say. And everybody's on the same page. The anxiety levels go down because the predictability levels are so high. So this is a really great way to make sure that you are on the same page as your children. So when you pre-teach that, then you're ready for in the moment when you need to do a correction. So let's talk about what it means to do a really good correction. First, of course, they need to know what that correction is going to be like at the beginning, but then also they need to know that the steps of the correction aren't about emotional responses from you. They're just descriptions of what happens to help them better learn self-government. When a person learns self-government, they learn cause and effect, and they analyze themselves so that they can make better choices. That's the whole point of a correction. In fact, corrections aren't supposed to be negative. They're just practices. That doesn't mean they don't earn negative consequences, because they do. They need to learn cause and effect, but they shouldn't feel negative. There's no reason that a person can't feel closer to their child during and after a correction than they even did before. In fact, I know it's absolutely possible if you can create a good correction environment for your family. So what are the steps to a good correction? You describe the situation instead of emotionally react to the situation. Then you explain or give them a rationale of why that wasn't a good choice, whatever it was they did. Then you explain what step of what skill that they did not use so that they can do it in the future, and possibly why. Then you tell them what negative consequence they've earned. At that point, they get the opportunity to go and do that negative consequence and then check back with you, at which time you will praise them. Then you praise them 3 more times for doing 3 role play practices of doing things the right way. So you see, they practice doing their positive behaviors more than they did their negative behaviors, which will actually reinforce in their brain this automatic response of doing things the right way. Now, it could be they want to talk to you about something as you're doing this correction. That's where they need to use the skill disagreeing appropriately. If they don't accept this correction or go completely out of control, this is when you would use your intensive teaching skills. Intensive teaching does not mean yelling. You don't get intense, you just use another skill set. They know what it is, you put it into practice, and it encourages them to go to the front brain so that they get ready to focus in and think and follow your instructions at last, if they weren't doing it before. I don't have time to go into all the steps for intensive teaching today, but I will say that the number one thing that you can focus on is calmness when you're trying to solve problems with your children, and do it without yelling. And I actually have a free calm gift for you. So I have a calm parenting toolkit on my website, teachingselfgovernment.com, and in the description below this video, there is a link to that calm parenting toolkit. If you click on the link to that toolkit right now, you can have it for free. It will be 10 tools for calmness that will change your interactions and theirs for the better. Click on the link to that calm toolkit today. I'll see you there.